My name is Ryan Johnson, and my speech is about how having an alcoholic parent affects your life. Do you know what it's like to grow up with an alcoholic? Living with an alcoholic can be extremely difficult, especially when it's your parent. An alcoholic is one that has a substance abuse disorder, which makes it worse when their substance of choice is legal and easily accessible and acceptable by the world. Consuming exorbitant amounts of alcohol harms not only the abuser, but his or her family as well. I know. I lived it day in and day out. My father is an alcoholic, but it affected me mentally, emotionally, and physically. Him being an alcoholic also destroyed our family. Children of alcoholics have long-standing issues with relationship, healthy social development, as well as their own emotional well-being. Living and growing up with an alcoholic can impact your relationship with friends and family, especially the one you have with the addictive parent. Being that an alcoholic changes their personality, the way they act and respond to certain situations. The children never knows what to expect and always seems to be on the defensive. Constantly being drunk tends to lead to excessive fighting and arguing. This can cause parents to divorce and families to fall apart. In my case, my father was an alcoholic and fought excessively with my mom for the first 20 years of my life. Towards the end, he even fought with me and my brother. The fighting was over anything, everything, and even nothing at all. There didn't have to be a reason other than he felt the need to start with someone. The chaos consumed us all. My parents finally divorced as he would not stop his drinking nor the dangerous behaviors that went along with it. So was alcohol worth losing your family over? I think not, but apparently it was more important than we were. Excessive habitual drinking can be the basis for one to become overly aggressive and moody. It can make you snap in a split second or anyone over anything or nothing at all. Growing up with an alcoholic father, my brother and I were subjected to many of his aggressive and moody behaviors. He would pick fights just because the more he drank, the worse it got for everyone in his presence. Social settings became unbearable. I didn't bring my friends over to my house because no one was ever spared during his drunken triads. I didn't want him to be embarrassed or humiliated. Lastly, growing up in an environment with someone that drinks so much every day, plus your emotional well-being at stake. Alcohol is a depressant. It disrupts the neurotransmitters in your brain that affect your feelings, your thoughts, and behaviors. Therefore, the parent is often irrational and sometimes even violent. The lies they tell in reference to and because of their drinking causes damage to the children and family unit. In turn, the child can suffer from things like PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. Many studies also show that children of an alcoholic parent tend to have a higher risk for mental and behavioral disorders. Having to worry if he was going to get arrested for driving while drinking, or even if he was going to get in an accident, were the kind of thoughts I struggled with daily. I'm surprised he didn't physically hurt himself or anyone else in the midst of his episodes. What would my friends think? How would their parents feel if they knew my father was drunk all the time? Would my friends still like me or be allowed to hang out with me? No child should have to grow up like that. I wasn't and still isn't fair to be put in this situation. I guess selfish people just don't care what they do to their children and how their actions affect the kids in the long run. Growing up with him in this state has had lasting effects on my entire family, my mom, my brother, and me. Even our family pets suffered. I've had an extremely hard time dealing with all of this and more growing up. The truth is what it is. Having a raging alcoholic for a father was something I lived and dealt with for 20 years up until my parents separated and ultimately divorced in 2021. Being that I am an adult now, I have chosen not to see my father. I do not have to, nor want to deal with all the mess he has created. And when you think about it all in the grand scheme of things, all in all, it isn't worth it when someone consumes so much alcohol that they lose all touch with reality. In the end of the day, they tend to lose everything, including those that are most important to them too.